I was just patient, never try skating. Fuck niggas hating.
What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Jerome. I'm back in the building. This time I'm going to use a diagram because I really want to drive something home for you. When we discuss the systematic opportunist, I'm simply just describing and articulating a opportunist, generally speaking, but it's important that we understand their methods and the way that they think and how they operate. Before I get started, I want to jump right into the definition of an opportunist. It is a person who exploits circumstances to gain immediate advantage rather than being guided by a consistent principle or principles or a plan. So we deal with this in modern dating every day. This is very important because an opportunist is looking for ways to infiltrate you, and they're looking for an opportunity to advance immediately, by the way. And that's why I'm using this diagram here to articulate it better. If you look off to the left side of the screen, I try my best to describe the opportunist. Their current position is very important. When we date women, you want to observe, not judge, but you want to observe what are her current situations. And I want to stress that we're not judging, because as men, we really don't care how much money a woman makes and things of that nature, and what kind of car she drives, and unless you're a misogynistic man or some kind of pimp or something like that who is looking to exploit the woman. We don't really look into her finances, her situation, but knowing her current position and situation and circumstances does help you to potentially see what areas she's looking to extract any kind of resources from you. That's the only reason why I'd personally advise that we pay attention to a woman's circumstances, is for that purpose right there. Now, the current position of her is important for a couple of reasons. Number one is that there's some motivating factors that are hidden. They can be secret motivating factors or a hidden agenda, as you see there to the left. One of those hidden agendas could potentially be she's in survival mode. And yes, I will break that down. Survival mode. Survival mode can be that she is lacking in resources. She has poor living conditions. She might be unemployed. She doesn't have any money. She's unhoused. She, living on the streets or couch to couch. She might have a criminal history. This is important. I dealt with this recently. My most recent ex, this was big. I didn't think to look into this, but she definitely had a criminal history that kept her from being employed, as to why she was lacking in resources and had a poor living condition, bad credit, and also no support system, like from her family and or friends. So a lot of times you hear a woman who says she doesn't get along with her mom. Her dad is locked away or dead or wasn't around, or, she doesn't have any family. She relocated. She's 1,000 miles away from everyone that you would think that she'd want to be close to in case she needs help. But she's obviously struggling, but running. This could be a potential case for an opportunist, or definitely her circumstances show that she has room to gain somewhere, if possible. Not trying to be funny or anything like that, but it's just realistic that when you look at her situation, if she's in survival mode, any one of these things could be a reason why she's in survival mode and why you would be a perfect candidate to entertain. So, that is definitely going to be one of the potential reasons why. Another reason why she could be dealing with greed. Greed being, she has an insatiable desire or desires. She just, has to have it and a lot of it. She's accustomed to being enabled or spoiled. We hear this or read this all the time on females' dating profiles where they say, spoil me. She gets away with anything. People let her slip and slide through cracks, and she has a superiority complex because of this. She feels superior. She feels important. She feels better than everyone. Got a very jealous heart. Anyone else winning around her, she would not celebrate. She wants to be celebrated. She envies others. You know what I'm saying? It goes along with the jealousy. So this is another reason why an opportunist would be attracted to you, because it is something that they can extract from you simply because whatever it is that they have, they might have some, but they want more. You see the women and you see them wearing designer clothes and you're thinking, well, you look like you got it all figured out. You look like you don't need nothing else. But the fact of the matter is she's suffering from insatiable desires. She is not satisfied, and it's never going to be enough. So you are going to be an opportunity for her to extract or exploit things from you. Okay. I would say that another one of her potential reasons or secret or hidden agendas would be that she is dealing with lust. She has very strong sexual desires, promiscuous. She has no sexual discipline. Obviously, if she has strong desires that she's not in control of, she could be addicted to it. This is not, I'm not trying to be extremely judgmental on this point, but the fact is that some of us have been mistreated or abused, even sexually, in our adolescence as children, and because of so, we grow up with addictions that are unexplainable. We don't know where we got it from, and it's important for me to mention that because it's not always going to be that she chose to be promiscuous. A lot of times, you will deal with like a preacher's child or somebody who was sheltered, and they get outside and they get loose and they get bucket naked when given an opportunity to bust it open because they've been stuck in the house all their lives, and now they would want to get out there and explore. So, but there are times when someone was not, properly exposed to sex at an early age, and because of that, they have grown to be promiscuous. She has no sexual bounds or limitations. I mean, she'll do it with anybody, anywhere, multiple partners, etc., etc., etc. And most people who are dealing with lust, they hate to be denied. So this is important. That they hate to be denied is going to be important because that is going to help you understand why they go about extracting, things that they lust from you. You'll see that in a second. But keep that in mind that they hate to be denied. They're entitled to this. It's no different from someone needing a drug or a fix. Okay, so back at it, we have here, I would say that they could be trying to get revenge on a spouse. And by that, I mean they're looking for a vessel to fill a void. They need somebody who is easily attainable, low hanging fruit that they can easily extract sex from. And they think that this is going to heal them. This is a toxic healing method. They have been cheated on. They have been wronged in some kind of way. They just need to get revenge. They are very vindictive. And if they can get with you and they can, have an episode with you, an intimate episode with you, they will temporarily feel fixed or healed. They could also be a pathological cheater, somebody who is just stuck in the habit of cheating. It's just what they do. They get a thrill out of not being caught, and they've been doing it all their life. They have not grown. They are not attached to any moral compass that dictates that they fix this behavior. They are free to do whatever they want to do. They are exempt from the obligations of any kind of moral compass or boundaries or anything like that. They could also be mentally abusive. People who like to cheat on people could potentially be trying to mentally abuse someone. They need to feel superior. They need to be feeling in control. They need to feel like they're getting away with something. They need to feel like they have the one up. They are in a position of power in their relationship, and you not being the person that they're in a relationship with, you are just being toyed with. You are just, like I said, a vessel to potentially fill a void. So you are of no significance, and you can be hurt very easily by this type of person because you are just a vessel and you are of no significance. This is why we are tricked. And keep in mind on this one as well, because I'm going to show you something in just a moment that will add to support this claim here. And the last reason for revenge, it could be boredom. simply looking for a pastime opportunity or activity, or they just aren't being pleased sexually by their partner currently, and they are looking for things that they can't request from their partner, or maybe their partner is denying them, or maybe they just don't want to tell their partner that they are looking for. They are a deceitful person to their own partner. So hopefully getting out there and messing with you, they can get favors that they can't get from their partner. And they are just bored. Okay. So those are a couple of them. And then before moving on, I want to address the last one. On this one, we're going to, call this one emotional support. This is a very nice way of me putting that they're emotional vampire. Okay. Somebody who has a history of neglect. Emotionally, they have been starved. Someone who is a trauma responsive, somebody who, they are stuck in this trauma bond and trauma cycle. And it's a perpetual cycle that keeps going and going. And they have to extract any source of supply or stability from an outside source because they lack it within themselves. They are emotionally unregulated, so they don't know how to control their emotions. And they see someone, this is important. You want to keep this in your mind too, as to why they'd come after you, because they would look for this and the stability part of it or regulation part of it in someone else. They have mood swings. They're battling with depression or potential mental health issues that they might have, such as borderline personality disorder, bipolar schizophrenia, and narcissism, just to name a few. That does not encapsulate all of the potential emotional health issues that they could be facing, as to why they would need an outside source of emotional support to be nice. Okay, so, that is just an overview of the systematic opportunist and why this type of person is attracted to you. Okay, so their current position is where they're at, and their potential secret motivating factors or hidden agendas. But the position that you are in, we're going to call that the position of power. If you look over to the right of the screen, the opportunity, that is you. And the position of power is what you possess, their initial attraction to you. You could provide financial resources of any kind, big or small. You could provide your material assets, or even if you don't have them, the ability to give them some. And that's, dealing with their greed. As far as dealing with their lust, your physical attraction is what they look after. Revenge on the spouse, they need someone who is naive and vulnerable. Okay, in order for them to find a sucker, and not to insult you, but this is how they view it, a sucker that they can extract those resources that they need to fill a void when trying to get revenge on the spouse. And if they are looking for emotional support, they're looking for someone who is at least more emotional stable than they are currently. Okay, so that's just to break down a couple of the possible reasons why they'd be attracted to you. Now, let me jump into it and get to the nitty gritty of things. So this slide here, I want to call this one, when you meet their representative. Okay, this is a diagram that articulates what is going on in their mind. If you look to the right, I have here what they're thinking. This is in their mind when they first met you. This is my representative. I have a clean slate with you. Okay, they have a bubbly, positive, kind, charming, easygoing, and honest appearance. Okay, in the middle, this is my little circle where I have a little smiley face that articulates the energy. And I wanted to convey that to you. There is their emotion based on your response to them. Okay. And over to the bottom right hand corner, what you're thinking when you meet their representative, you're probably excited. You're dealing with some excitement and positive expectations because you're dealing with a bubbly, positive, kind, charming, easygoing, and honest person. You are being mirrored. Okay, they see this positivity in you. Okay, they're matching your energy. And I say this in several videos. When someone has the ability to match energy, obviously this person is matching positive energy, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. But someone who has the ability to match energy can potentially be a very toxic person, because if your energy drops below a healthy level and they are able to drop down with you, they are just as bad as you, or vice versa. I don't believe in matching of any energy. I feel like you set a standard for energy that you are willing to exchange or reciprocate. If anyone falls below that level, then you have a conversation to bring them back up. If they are unable to match you on your level, then it's time to dismiss yourself, remove yourself. Okay. This can also be called a phase of love bombing. As you see over there, where you're dealing with all that excitement and positive expectations, it could be based on them love bombing you. And you see that big old green triggered word. Okay, so you're being triggered at this point. At this point, you are dealing with somebody who is triggering your emotions in order for them to gain access to you. This is entry level. This is introduction. This is you meeting their representative, and this is what they need to do. As an opportunist, this is a part of their system to infiltrate. Okay. Now, once they have allowed you to meet their representative, there's a couple of things that's happening. Okay. And let's jump to the next slide. There's going to be an initial conversation. And this conversation is going to be generalized and based around intentions and expectations. This is when you ask them a bunch of questions, vetting questions. You're vetting them. You want to get to know them. You want to see, so how long you been single, and what's going on with you, and what are you looking for, and what values do you look for in a man, and whatever list of questions that you have, and why are you single, things like that. And I like to ask very penetrating questions personally. One of the questions I most recently asked a woman is, I told her, so I don't waste your time. What are your expectations? What do you expect out of this interaction? And I wanted to know. And she said, oh, I'm not the type of person that asks anyone for anything. And I'm still currently talking to that person because that answer was acceptable to me. But in the early stages, you have an initial conversation with the woman where you are trying to gain a perspective on her intentions and her expectations. It's very important for you to know at this stage in the initial conversation that they cannot bring themselves to tell you the truth because, one, they have a deep fear that you'll reject them. Okay? They have a very deep fear. I typed something there, but it's okay. They have a deep fear that you will reject them. And you have to understand this. They give you vague responses or indirect explanations that are open for interpretation. Your interpretation is their bait. Now, this point here, I want to drive it home real quick because of their deep fear of rejection, they cannot tell you what their intentions are. Their intentions are ill. They cannot. Instead, they are stuck in a cycle of mirroring you and love bombing you and acting like whatever it is that you are looking for, they are okay with it and they are looking for the same thing, if not very similar things. But they cannot tell you, they cannot articulate to you what they're looking for, because if you say, oh no, that hurts them. If you say, oh, I'm not doing that, that hurts them. So they want to avoid that wound of rejection. Secondly, they know what they're asking for and what they're expecting is outlandish and unreasonable. Okay, they want to avoid exposure that they're even looking for something that is unreasonable or outlandish. So they can't articulate what they're looking for. If they were to tell you the truth, they would say, I'm looking for you to pay my bills, right? And I don't want to do anything in exchange for that. I just want to be me. I just want you to pay my bills. And we hear this all the time in a lot of these modern dating videos, these modern women video podcasts and all that stuff like that. And most of us men, we think to ourselves, I'm not doing that. And then there's other men who pander to this idea. And this is my personal opinion. And it is somewhat based on experience because I'm going on 40 years old and I've never paid all of a woman's bills in order to gain access to her or to make sure that she was safe in her feminine energy. But my point in being on this one is that there are men who pander to this idea. They act as though this is a biblical thing. It's something that they do based on religion, but really it's so that they can have the source of power. They can be in a position of power. So this is a power battle. The woman believes she's in a position of power because she saves all her money and she stockpiles hers and she spends all his. And the man feels like he's in the position of power because she's fully reliant on me. She has to submit to me. She can't cheat on me unless she finds someone who has more money and resources than me. So that is how I view that dynamic between a man and a woman, when a man who is willing to pander to a woman and pay all her bills, and a woman who says to him blatantly, I'm looking to be taken care of. And then that's a dynamic that works for them because they're both looking for similar things, and it's the power over each other or one another. You know what I'm saying? So, but a regular guy, a good guy, a guy who doesn't fall under the guidelines of being a panderer or a simp or a trick or somebody who is looking to have the power over a woman and all of those good old things, he is not going to be interested in doing that. And so an opportunist is going to say, okay, I realize that what I'm asking for, there are men who are not going to like that. And there are men who aren't going to willingly just give it up and say, okay. But what they do instead is three. They rather wait dormant, silent, and observant, meanwhile pocket watching in hopes that you'll buy into their character and simply give them what they seek. So if they don't tell you what they want, they have time to waste, in my opinion. They have enough time to sit here and be like, let me see if he's just going to give it to me. I'm not going to tell him what I want because he's probably going to shut me down and I'll have a deep fear of rejection. And I know what I'm asking for is a lot. It's not even reasonable. I would never give anybody this myself. Let me just see if this person is willing to just give it to me without me asking. And this is why your initial conversation with that person is unclear. She gives you vague responses and indirect explanations that are open to your interpretation in the beginning because she's an opportunist. She cannot afford to come clean and tell you exactly what she's looking for. She's afraid you're going to say no. And you're probably thinking to yourself right now, if you just told me what you were looking for and I told you no, then you move on to the next and possibly get your needs met a lot faster. Yeah. Sounds pretty logical to any logical thinking man. But an opportunist, we have to keep in mind, we're dealing with an opportunist, a systematic opportunist here who is probably dealing with survival mode, lack of resources, greed, lust, trying to get revenge on a spouse, or just sapping individuals for their emotional stability or support. This is definitely something that we'd want to avoid as to why videos like this is very important. Okay. Moving on here. So what happens after we ignore those red flags when having the initial conversation and we see that everything's left open for our interpretation, and maybe we interpreted those things as they weren't that bad, or yeah, let's see where things go. I can't be a judge. It's too early to determine if she's a fraud or not. What happens is she thinks to herself, if you're looking at the bottom left hand corner, got him. It's time to initiate a plan of attack. Okay. And she's overwhelmed with excitement and showers you with validation, and she is in full pursuit of you. She still could be the type of woman that plays mind games this early on, but she's probably going to be very accessible to you. She's going to respond fast. She wants you. She needs to be on her A game so that she can win you over, right? You have triggered her. That's why the green trigger is under her side. You have triggered her to believe that I got one. Yes, I could potentially get my hidden agenda and my secret motivating factors met. I need to get my needs met, and this is a perfect candidate. So she believes so far. On the bottom right-hand corner, as you can see how what you're possibly thinking is, finally, someone I can trust. You've been waiting to exhale, all right? You are anxious. You're praying it's the real thing, and this is finally the one God has sent you. You are lowering your guard over time. You're becoming more comfortable and becoming more vulnerable, giving up a little bit more of your information, your assets, passwords. Not really, but you get what I'm saying. You're being a little bit more trusting and open and vulnerable with this person, and she's enjoying it. She's like, yep, give me all of that information I need to be able to exploit you, because she is an opportunist. And if we go back to the definition of an opportunist, it's a person who exploits circumstances to gain immediate advantage rather than being guided by consistent principles or a plan. So back to this point that I'm making here, where this is, you guys are both triggered by each other. She mirrored you. You are excited at the potential that this is the one God sent you. This is finally going to happen. Okay, moving on, because what happens is post observation of you. This is their post. This is after they have observed you and come up with a game plan. They have structured a game plan. Number one, they've learned your character, your moral standing, and expectations, and they mirror your moral compass. They mirror your moral compass. The moral compass of the individuals involved dictates the lifespan or the structure or foundation of the relationship. I've said this numerous times in previous videos. The moral compass. Your moral compass is attached to some sort of spiritual guidance, whatever your religion is, right? And things that you believe in, you that keep you in alignment with your faith in being a good, positive person. Someone who has integrity, being one of your morals, someone who's honest, someone who's a leader, provider, protector, etc., right? They mirror your moral compass. They act as if they have the same moral compass as you. This is important for them to do in order for them to continuously break down your walls and your guards and your boundaries. Number two, they have the ability to relate to good people, but choose to use their powers for evil or ill intent. This is somebody that possibly has previous knowledge of religion, yours to be particular or specific, integrity, morals. They know somebody. They've seen it before. They're familiar with that. They are chameleons. They know how to put on sheep's clothing, although they're a wolf. Trying to be funny. But my point is that they are smart, but they make evil choices. Most criminals that you see, they're able to infiltrate these banking informations and hackers. You're like, you are smart. How did you do that? We don't know how to do that as regular individuals who don't think about stuff like that. But these people are hyper intelligent and they know how to hack systems and break into them and steal things that we couldn't even imagine doing, right? And they gain access to them. And then what happens is they could be a good person if they wanted to. Yeah, they could definitely get things done if they wanted to, in a positive way, in a God-fearing way, but they choose not to. And this is what gives them an edge and the ability to infiltrate you unnoticed, because they have the smarts, the know-how, and they can relate to good people. They just choose to use their powers for ill intent. Now, the next thing that happens, it happens 100% of the time, I'm certain. And this is the glitch. Yeah. So if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, this is where there was a misstep. This is where the mask slips. And they hope you didn't catch that. Okay? They slide into overthinking mode. And they start looking for ways and attempts to recover from this. And they want to avoid accountability, because to take accountability is to completely foil their own plan. It's not even logical if you think about it. Everything I've just listed, who'd want to say, all right, man, I tried to get you. They're not going to do that. Okay, they start using gaslighting tactics and deflecting and adding confusion to the situation in order to get you off balance. And you're triggered now. If you look over to the bottom right, you're triggered. You're like, this is a red flag. Reality strikes. You're thinking to yourself, I saw that. Now you have questions and concerns. Now you want to slow down the pace for your own safety. Now you need additional reassurance and proof of their identification before you proceed. Look at that face there. They got the ick, and they're cringing right now because they're like, oh, dang, I slipped. They slip 100% of the time. This is a blessing, guys. They slip 100% of the time. Okay, so in their attempt to gaslight you when they misstep during the glitch. One, they attempt to control the narrative by adding false context. They want to add lies. They pile lies on and half truths, things that got a little bit of truth to it so you believe it, and word salad where they start to over talk and over explain in order to scramble your mind. And you're sitting over here thinking like, maybe I was a little bit wrong. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I have relationship anxiety and I need to just show a little bit more grace. You know what I'm saying? Number two, they attempt to convince you that you misunderstood them. And this is when you have that argument, debate, back and forth, whatever you want to call it, where they just do not let up on their understanding of the situation. And you're like, geez, man, like you won't let this go. They are determined to convince you that you misunderstood them. Next, they want to pick a fight to shift the blame and deflect you from their scent or their trail. So they have to pick a fight with you, and they have to make sure that they have, turned the fingers on you. And now you're feeling like you're the one who is in the wrong, obviously. And number four, they want to avoid taking accountability as it exposes their true identity and causes a massive blow to their false image and or ego. Okay, that's as simple as it gets. They dodge the natural shame that comes by one's conscience. Now, we all have a conscience. They want to avoid that shame, and they want to be able to go on to the next person without dealing with that shame. If they dealt with that shame, they'd make a change. This person is never going to change. They have mastered the art of dodging the natural shame caused by one's conscience. Okay? But here goes where the best blessing that could ever happen to you comes into play. You reinforce your boundaries. Look who's triggered. They're triggered. They're annoyed. You weren't an easy win. They're turned off. They're probably going to ghost you. They're irritated, defeated, defensive, rebellious. They like to throw tantrums. They spread lies, smear campaigns. They triangulate you to regain power. They speak to a cousin, a friend, a mentor, somebody that they idolize in order to figure out manipulative tactics that they can use to regain the power in that dynamic. And they are inevitably forced to quit. They are triggered. They are frustrated. They are pissed. Meanwhile, you have learned how to reinforce your boundaries, and you shut down. I refer to myself as the kill switch hitter. Once I say no, once the doc says it's a wrap, it's a wrap. Back to reality. You are relieved. You have been protected. You have been led by the Spirit. You are safe. And you are moving on to bigger and better things and what God potentially has for you in the future. Amen. I hope this video helps you out and encourages you and empowers you and gives you some validation and makes you feel better and renews your strength, renews your faith. God bless you. Oh my God, I feel good about this one. If it did, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you are new to my channel, my name is Jerome, and this has been another episode of The Superb Word. And until next time, 2 fingers, y'all. All right.